Hi everyone, today I'm going to try something new to me. They're the Golden SoFlat matte acrylics. They are actually a pretty new product. They came out I think last year or the year before if I'm not mistaken. Several months ago I wanted to test the theory that acrylic gouache was just like gouache but matte. And I compared acrylic gouache with the Sonia matte acrylic, which to me confirmed that they aren't quite the same. I don't believe one is better than the other. It's really up to your taste and how you use them. But I did feel differences between the two mediums. And with these new matte acrylics, I wanted to find out again if they are similar to acrylic gouache or if they are their own medium. The Golden SoFlat comes with 40 colors and it has two sets. One is called the Zing set and one is called the Pop set. And I picked the Pop set, which has more traditional colors. It comes with 6 2-ounce jars, and the set is a color chart, which is really nice because it shows the light fastness, the opacity of the color, and the number of the series. The Pop set comes with 3 primary colors: the Naphthol Red Light, Cadmium Primrose, and Ultramarine Blue. And it also comes with Permanent Green, Black, and Titanium White. Each jar shows the pigment's number, the light fastness, the opacity, and something that I really like with Golden is that they actually have a swatch, a real swatch made with the paint that's inside on their label. So you can see the opacity by yourself, you can see what the color looks like when it's dry. Also the directions on the jar are set to stir thoroughly because there can be some color separation, so stir very well. And something that's interesting is that the paint is nice and creamy and thick, but the longer you stir, the more liquid it becomes. The opening of the jars is pretty wide, so it's nice. You have good access to the paint. Once I stirred all the colors, it was time for me to do my color chart, like I always do. So I find the paint nice and creamy. It spreads on the paper very nicely without any water. It's ready to use, and I like that. The colors are very bright, and they're pretty opaque. Of course, like with all the different mediums, the opacity varies depending on the pigments that are used, so some are more opaque than others. But so far with the swatches, I'm pretty pleased. Then I decided to do some mixes. So I mixed all the primaries together to make some secondary colors. So the yellow and the red to make oranges, and I varied the amount of yellow and orange just to make gradients to see all the different kinds of oranges that I could make. Then I tried to make some purples with the red and the blue, and of course some greens with the yellow and the blue. I also did a quick opacity test with a Sharpie. I drew a line on the paper and then I put some paint over it, and it's really not too bad. It's not as opaque as some of my acrylic gouache, but it's really not that bad. And finally, and I did it off camera because I didn't want this video to last forever and lose you, I did more swatches. I did some other shades, some other tones. So I did a line of all the colors from the set mixed with white, and then a line of all the colors from this set mixed with black. I also did the same thing with the secondary colors that I mixed. I mixed them with white and with black also to see what they would look like. I tried to make some browns by mixing each set of primary and secondary together. So basically on the color wheel you will pick the colors opposite and mix them together to make your brown. So red and green, blue and orange, and yellow and purple, which basically means mix all three primary colors together but with different amounts of each color. I also mixed the green that came in the set with the primary colors to see what it would look like. So I've got a whole page full of different mixes, and you can see that with 3 jars you can get a whole variety of different colors, which is really neat. So when that was done, I had to do a little painting, and I remembered that I had a page with a couple of mushrooms painted on it when I was comparing the Turner acrylic gouache and the Holbein acrylic gouache. I'll link the video if you're interested. And there's still more room on that page, so I decided to paint another mushroom with the Golden SoFlat matte acrylic. So I drew the sketch, and when it came time to put the paint on my palette, I had a boo-boo, and that's something that some artists complain about with the jars, is that it can get messy. So my jar of red fell on the palette and spilled. Luckily I had nothing on that palette yet, and it was nice and clean, so I was able to scoop up the paint with a palette knife and put it back in the jar. And actually, while I'm mentioning this, you really should clean the edges of your jar whenever you use it, so that when you put the lid back on, your jar is airtight and the paint doesn't start drying on the edges. So when that was all cleaned up, I started painting, and I really enjoyed it. But I think, again, it's not the same experience, in my opinion, as when I paint with acrylic gouache. Because no matter what, I think the acrylic gouache is still more opaque and a little bit creamier than the acrylic paint. I found that I had to add more layers. The white is not as opaque as I would like it to be, but it's an excellent medium and I really like it. So if you're worried about the acrylic gouache, because gouache has a reputation of not being light fast, and people keep on saying that with some Japanese companies you just never know if it is, because they do their own things. If you're really worried about it and if you want an alternative, the Golden SoFlat has 40 different colors, and out of all those 40, 4 have a very good light fast rating, and the light fast of all the others is excellent, except for the neon colors, which is very normal. For some reason, those are usually fugitive. One other thing with this paint is that it's leveling, meaning that when you add a layer, as it dries, the brush strokes disappear. I had no problem seeing brush strokes on my painting or my swatches. It's actually pretty good. I like it. I'm gonna paint a little bit more with it, and I'll probably post another video maybe another Ghibli scene, because that's what I've been painting lately, and get the feel for it. But right now with this mushroom, even though the result is pretty similar to the 2 other mushrooms that I painted, the experience is a little different. So I had to adjust my technique a little bit. But again, all in all, it's an excellent paint, just not quite the same as the acrylic gouache that I'm used to use. Alright, that's it for today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. I'll do my best to answer them. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're feeling extra generous, you can always help support this channel by clicking on the thanks button right next to the share button. Thank you all for stopping by. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.